Coming up on Mountain News this morning, hear how Kentucky health officials are working to handle an increasing number of coronavirus cases. And one state lawmaker who has come out against Governor Beshear's emergency orders during the pandemic now wants to limit his power.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Lacey Roberts, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, and it is also, like we call it, Hump Day. We've made it through the middle of the week. We've only got a couple more days to go, and those temperatures outside are going to be hot, but right now we're having some visibility issues. Let's bring in Brandon Robinson to talk about that. Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
Good morning, Lacey. Doing just fine. How are you? Hopefully you're doing well this morning. We're going to continue to see things a little bit foggy, as you mentioned. We're seeing some visibility issues across the region. Pikeville has zero visibility right now on the sensors, and then anything less than 5 miles, which is basically Ashland, Richmond, Prestonsburg, Harlan, Middlesboro, and then Monticello is close this morning, is very dense fog as well. So it's starting to increase. We'll show you some of those cameras here in a little bit. Temperatures not too bad, actually. 70 Morehead, Logan, 64 in Hazard this morning, 65 in Prestonsburg. But here's the thing, even though it's a little bit cooler air temperature wise, those dew points are still way up there, so it doesn't feel as cool as it should for those temperatures. 89 today, chances for scattered showers and storms around again. It's a kind of a rinse and repeat forecast that we'll talk about more in detail coming up in a few minutes. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. Governor Beshear says that new cases of COVID-19 reported yesterday are cause for serious concern. The state confirmed 371 cases last night, and that has Kentucky's total now at 17,519 cases. The governor also announced the deaths of 9 more Kentuckians, raising the state's death toll to 602. Right now, 421 people are hospitalized with COVID-19 in Kentucky, and that's down some from Monday, but 110 are now in the ICU. And we continue to follow sad news out of Knox County, where health officials confirm the deaths of 5 people at a nursing home in Corbin. This is all happening at the Christian Health Center. Now, according to a release from Christian Care Communities that operates the facility, 4 of the 5 people were in hospice and had prior health conditions. In that release, the operators say, quote, "Any death is a tragedy and the loss is felt by family, friends, and our staff. The Christian Health Center is a critical part of our region's healthcare system, and we appreciate the support and prayers from the community as we work diligently to combat the virus." And Tuesday's total of 371 cases is the second highest total record recorded during the pandemic, and our curve is at the highest it has been since early May. Health officials in Kentucky are doing their best to handle the rising number of cases and hopefully reverse this trend. Dr. Crystal Miller is the public health director for Wedco in Cynthiana. She said yesterday that the increasing number of cases, especially in younger folks, is putting some strain on their contact tracing efforts.
And as the economy has opened back up, this has become just a very large project to manage. We have about 10 people working on contact tracing, and we actually just had a meeting today about expanding that team because what we're finding is it's extremely difficult to make contact and rewind their lives and then make all the contacts that we need.
Dr. Miller says that she is also concerned about younger people who generally have mild to no symptoms carrying the virus to their older relatives. And more states are seeing mandatory mask orders being issued. Anyone in violation of the mandatory mask order could face fines. Viral videos show fights over people not willing to wear one, and right now it's not required here in Kentucky. But a Lexington lawyer says the government can impose the rule. Shelby Lofton explains.
Face coverings, fines, and frustration, while some choose to wear a mask.
It's a pretty simple thing to do, and if it helps, and apparently it does, it's worthwhile.
Others are bothered by the concept.
Not only is it suffocating, but it is fogging up my glasses.
It's possibly reinfecting me.
Health experts say masks are our best tool to stop the transmission of COVID-19, and some places are enacting a rule based on the science.
The government has the power to regulate the public health, if you will, generally.
Scott White says the public good outweighs an individual's civil liberty.
A person's civil liberty isn't absolute.
Right now in Kentucky, wearing a mask is encouraged, but Governor Andy Beshear said he would consider mandating them if the number of COVID-19 cases increased.
There's a percentage of people that I'm aware of or friends with who refuse to wear mask other than if they're forced to do it.
Larson says he understands his friends' point of view who say this is an issue about personal freedoms. Around the country, fines are being used to enforce.
The punishment has to be proportionate to the failure to obey.
But punishments can also be tested.
If you expel a kid or punish a kid, they've got rights that they can appeal any kind of discipline.
White says, long story short, it is constitutional to mandate people wear a mask.
A number of major retailers sent a message to governors asking them to force people to wear a mask in an effort to enforce store rules nationwide. And one state lawmaker who has come out against Governor Beshear's emergency orders during the pandemic now wants to limit his power. State Representative Savannah Maddox pre-filed a bill yesterday to change the authority the governor has during a state of emergency. The bill will allow emergency orders issued by a governor to last up to 14 days. And 2 more regional offices opened yesterday to help Kentuckians with unemployment. That includes an office in Somerset, but appointment times are all booked up. That's also true for the in-person help being offered in Frankfort. If you need help, keep checking kcc.ky.gov. If someone cancels their appointment, that time slot will be reopened. And next month, Kentucky school districts hope to have students back in the classroom. Some have already announced the first day of school, while others have not set a date yet. Education leaders say they need flexibility when it comes to having in-person learning again. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on their concerns.
Lawmakers are hearing about the daunting task of trying to bring back students and staff,
providing multiple modes of instruction.
But the pandemic that isn't showing signs of letting up.
And then handling vulnerable staff and how we're going to do that.
Education leaders told House and Senate committee members there are still a lot of unanswered questions.
Now, will we have the funding necessary to acquire cleaning supplies and materials?
Eric Kennedy says surveys show some want students back in class, others want more at-home learning. And then there's the subject of masks.
But it is an expectation and it is going to happen. There obviously will be students that will want to defy that, and that's going to be a very difficult classroom management obstacle.
With so many unknowns, it's almost like trying to attack a moving target. We don't know exactly what's going to happen this fall, especially when it comes to high school sports. The State High School Athletic Association commissioner says this is all like walking a tightrope.
We have spent the entire summer trying to plan to where whatever goes on in school sport does not inhibit the start of school.
Tackett says some districts have started activities only to pause, but he's optimistic about the next few months.
We are looking at having fall sports. Without doubt, we are still planning for fall sports.
If that means only one parent in the stands, my wife and I need to go ahead and plan for what that's going to look like.
Tackett says sports are important because in some communities, it's their #1 dropout prevention tool. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The Senate committee chairman says plans for reopening will vary for each school district. Pikeville Medical Center is focused on emergency safety during the summer. PMC has seen an increase in injuries as people take advantage of the warmer weather. Doctors urge extra safety precautions such as staying hydrated, wearing safety equipment, and being aware of your surroundings. Dr. John Fleming says preventable injuries are becoming more common.
This year it's even more so because people were holed up in the house for so long. Now they're anxious to get outside, doing things they haven't done since last year or maybe ever, taking more chances. So we're definitely seeing more sports injuries, more hiking injuries, more ATV accidents.
He says the trauma center is always prepared to handle the injuries, but preventing them from happening could mean the difference between life and death.
6:08 heading up on the mountain this morning, and not a whole lot to report up there. Whitesburg, Pine Mountain, a few clouds drifting through, but no major issues this morning. The fog in the valleys, so we're going to continue to track that. Temperatures running between 64 and 70. That's our range this morning. Dew points are well up there. It's going to continue to be kind of a steamy day. It's going to stay hot until we get to that cold front on Friday. I think that weekend systems are going to play out and scattered chances for showers and storms between now and Friday, and at the end of the weekend going into next week as well. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. And thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, as COVID-19 cases climb across the United States, we take a look at how different states are responding to the change.